It's all fun and games till you need to buy toilet paper.
Oh, no.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Super Paper Mario Coinless Challenge. But it's no longer a coinless challenge as we found out on the last video. If you haven't seen the last video, please go watch it. For one, I spent a lot of time on it, and for two, this video would make more sense if you've seen it. There'll be a link in the description and in the iCard for the first episode, so make sure you've seen that before watching this. Speaking of the last video, there are a few things that I need to point out. First off, there's no tactic to killing the Gromiva. It's just a very rare RNG occurrence that coincidentally happened when I did the tippy and the flip strategy. Not only that, something I really wish I remembered when playing Chapter 2 is that you can actually skip Boomer completely by doing a special trick with a shell shock like this. There you go. And like that, just like that, you got the switch and you don't need Boomer. When you go through the door, you know, get past the floating butts, as usual. Then you hit the save point. Don't have to go through all the Gromiva crap now. Don't worry, after the chapter's finished, it still gives you Boomer for later usage. With that out of the way, let's start talking about the rest of the run. Last time we found out that it's impossible to beat the game without collecting at least 100 coins because you need the money to buy the ancient clue from Blappy. I went back and got the gold bar in Chapter 3, so it wouldn't take as long to get the coins, and also it would still kind of feel like a coinless run because you're just selling the item. But yes, that still counts as collecting a coin, at least in my opinion. Waluigi goes when I decided that it doesn't count as collecting coins if you're selling items, but I think that defeats the purpose, honestly, because then you can basically still do everything. We got Felipe's toilet paper and got off that planet. The very next chapter requires 10 more coins because you have to buy a choco bar for Squirps. Trust me, I tried to see if there was any way to get a mild cocoa bean before Chapter 5, which, if it was available, could have been used to bake a choco bar. So the necessary coin count this far is 110. The woe zone is pretty much normal. Obviously tried to avoid the Pigarithms because they drop tons of nasty coins. The Mr. L fight is a good chance to get some shroom shakes, but the Brobot fight was terrible, at least in my experience. Due to our pacifist low level, our base attack couldn't even damage Brobot. This is an actual hard fight now that I have just such a low attack. Yeah, people are... I don't blame anyone for leaving, I guess. The only way to do any damage at all was through power-ups. And even with those, your attacks are only doing 1 damage per hit. Oh, barrier last second. I need an attack power-up in order to do anything to him. So far, Brobot has been the hardest boss to fight in this run. Eventually, though, we were able to defeat him.
We did it.
After this victory, I left for the weekend and came back renewed. I hopped on to Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is actually the easiest so far. Not only was avoiding coins easy, we also got a whole bunch of healables from the putrid piranhas and free levels, which we desperately needed, from a game-breaking O-Chunks fight trick. I think he's a bit underrated. Okay, what do we got going here? I think I'm cheating. Well, we take those. Jeez. I feel bad for him. We also got the super overpowered hammer pixel Cudge, which we use basically anytime we need to kill anything quickly. It's almost too much power for one man to wield, honestly, just being able to kill anything with one button press. I mean, I would not believe you. Craggly Hoe, Chapter 5-3. We meet up with Flint Craggly and go to find his missing crew members. When in reality, his crew members aren't missing, he's the one who's missing, and they have to find him. Anyway, point is, same level as always, just don't kill anything and, you know, avoid getting coins. Also, fun roller coaster. Whee! In Chapter 5-4, we find Dottie and put our O-Chunks strat to use again. After that, it's on to the final boss of the chapter. King Crocus wasn't particularly easy or hard, just a little harder than usual, so still beatable, but not that hard. With our new pure heart, I decided to come back to Flipside and place it in a pillar. but not the usual pillar. I tried to place in the purple pillar using a Thudley jump strategy. Guys, look, am I cool now? I did the thing. And no one's here to see it, but and nothing happens. There's nothing over here. This was a waste of time, as nothing happens. We go back and put in the correct pillar, then head to Samur's Kingdom. Fighting the first few Samurai guys was just as easy as it always was. Only thing to mention here is that you want to avoid killing the ninjos that spawn in some rounds. After we defeat the required Samurai guys, we fight Mimi, and then watch the world get destroyed. Luckily, we were able to survive and go back into the destroyed dimension to find a pure heart. But to get that pure heart, we have to fight Mr. L again. This time, it was way easier than last time. You just hit his foot. I head back to Merlin, and Dimentio decides to send Mario to hell. You know, like you do. In the underworld, we finally get the man in green, Luigi. He can jump really high, so that's cool. It's also important to mention that the Underwear Fountain is a place where you can get health without needing any coins. We find the Queen's daughter, and she lets us return to the world of the living. But then we realize we have to go back to the Underwear in order to get our friends back and the pure heart. So we go back to the Underwear. Just like in Chapter 3, fighting Bowser in Chapter 7 is more tedious than it is actually hard. Same applies to jumping on that giant tower that you have to get up multiple times within the level. Other than that, Chapter 7-2 was easy as hell. After we get past Door Guy and the Underchomp, we head over to the Over There. The path to the Over There was pretty simple. We woke up Peach and then gave Cyrus the red apple to make him big and bouncy. 7-4 is, not surprisingly, the harder to do coinless. The main major problem we had is getting rid of these skelebits without collecting coins. If we learned anything from earlier, then this should be completely possible if we just keep trying to kill it over and over. But I didn't want to spend another hour doing that, so I just threw them off a cliff. With the spiky skelebit, it was harder because it damages you if you try to pick it up. I just jumped off the cliff and took it with me. You may see me throwing enemies off cliffs a lot because it's the easiest way to get rid of them without dropping coins. We collected all the color orbs and made a magical rainbow to get us over there. We saved Granby from Bone Chill and took away his daughter to encase her in, you guessed it, a pillar. Our journey was near its end and it is now time to head to Blumir, Count Bleck's castle. Chapter 8-1 was the easiest in the chapter, but that did not mean it was easy. Although there weren't really any gimmicky parts, avoiding all the enemies without killing any of them was nothing to be considered simple. Bowser vs. Ochunks was the easiest thing about this level. Although one party member short, we continued on to level 2. Chapter 8-2 was easy, just kidding. This chapter was the hardest in the entire game to do coinless, because apparently Gromiva heard about our quest and called in his big brother, Gromiva, who is way more eager to share his coins than his little brother was. I spent a whole 2 hours killing this thing. At one point, I'd been doing it for so long that I switched to my Sans resource pack just to make things feel more different, as I was literally going insane at that point. By the time I finally defeated Gromiva, I had gone through so much pain and agony that I could barely even get excited about it. We just gotta use Cyans, and Cyans will be the path to victory. I do believe in my soul that we can end the oppression of the Gromivas. I'm being oppressed right now by these beings. You know, I'm the one. Guys, After all that, I decided to take a break and fix the texture error I found in the Sans resource pack. Then I came back to talk to Mimi, or should I say, Merly. I got the items, but for the last room, I wished for Francis, because, let's be honest, who doesn't want to spend some time with good old Francis? Blah blah blah, Peach fights, then directly afterwards saves Mimi, blah blah blah, 2 people left in the party, blah blah blah. Chapter 8-3 was literally just me and everyone in chat hyping up the Dimentio party room. After that amazing party, Dimentio takes Cyans and we move on to the final chapter of the game. Just as you'd expect any last level of a game to do, Chapter 8-4 tested all of our skills to their limits. we went and we had to use all our pixels and we had to dodge everything, and it was so much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back street? We got to the maze, which I remember pretty well, but a lot of the parts I forgot because I hadn't played that part of the game in a while. But eventually, after 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes maybe, we got to the end. Then, we did it. We were here. The final door. Behind it was the man himself, the formerly known as Blumir, Count Bleck. Fighting him was hopeless. We didn't do any damage. But then, in true anime style, all the characters we thought were dead come back to save the day. Since I was playing Sans, I made it a point to defeat with Boney. Is that actually in the script? Sans. After a few whacks, Sans boned the Count. With Bleck weakened, Dementio found his chance to strike. He summoned Cyans and turned him into a Mr. L thing somehow, because Sans becomes Mr. L in this resource pack. Anyway, the point is, we had to fight this giant monstrosity. But with a little bone here, a little bone there, everywhere, bone, 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 Sans took down the giant monster. And Dementio was finally Oh, never mind. Dementio wasn't defeated. There was still his aura on the Chaos Heart, keeping it destroying worlds and stuff. And that's no good. So, it looks like we need Blumir and Tippy to get married. Somehow that fixes it. As Timpani and Blumir were getting married, I reflected on all the time I put into this task. I still don't understand why I did it. You know, all of my suffering, all of my pain, perhaps it was worth it to complete such a grand task. Nah.